Hello, welcome back to my book nook. Today we are going to be doing February wrap up. You guys are probably gonna really like this, but I did the TBR challenge on stream where every time I got a jump scare, I would have to add a book to my TBR, and it ended up ending in 19 jump scares because I was dumb and picked a game with spiders in it. So that meant 19 books that were added to my February TBR, and out of those 19 books, I read 13 with 2 DNFs. Since I didn't get all the books finished in February, that means you guys get to come up with a punishment that I have to do. I can stream it, I can make a video out of it, so let me know down in the comments. I'll also start asking you guys on Discord. Someone suggested karaoke. I can do that. Every time I have books that are included in my TBR videos, they're going to be rolling over into my next month's TBR, so that way I have to finish them at some point. Because I'm a big mood reader, but I really want to make this channel have some continuity. So now I'm going to go over all the books on the list that I did read. I'm going to start with DNFs. The 2 books I DNF'd in February were The Second Death of Locke and, surprisingly, Jade City. The reasons why I DNF'd, the Second Death of Locke is more of like a tentative DNF. I wasn't feeling it. I was kind of bored. I wasn't feeling it in that moment. The writing wasn't bad. I was enjoying it, but I just feel like I wasn't in the mood for it, and I really want to read it when I'm in the mood for it because I feel like I could really like it. I feel like it could be a solid 4-star if I read it when I'm in the mood. And then the reason why I DNF Jade City is that I wasn't connecting with any of the characters. I just don't think I'm too into the setup that it had. I wasn't really interested in any of the gang politics or anything like that. The writing was fantastic. I think Fonda Lee has a really fun, engaging writing style. I honestly just don't think the book was for me. Now we're going to go on to 3 stars because I didn't have any 2 stars, which is awesome. I'm really happy about that. February was a really good reading month. We only had 3 stars. So the first 3-star was Fairy Tale by Stephen King. This was our book club pick for February, and this is honestly the first Stephen King book that I didn't like that much. This is a story about an old man and his dog and a boy who sort of becomes the old man's caretaker, and while he's caring for the old man passes away and leaves him his house and his dog Radar, and there's something mysterious going on in the old man's shed, and it turns out there's a portal to another fantasy world, which was really cool. I rated it 3 stars because I love Stephen King's writing. I thought the fantasy world was interesting. The reason why I gave it a 3-star though is because the pacing was very slow. I feel like the setup took too long and I was starting to get uninterested, and the main character, Charlie, he's a football player in high school, and he just felt so generic. And then when he's supposed to be in high school in like 2009 or 2010 or something, and he's talking like he's from the 70s and he's an old man. Immediate disconnect from Charlie. So, and since he's the main character and this is told from his POV, he's like telling the story to you. Since I couldn't connect with him, it just made it really hard to be engaged enough in the story to enjoy it, to want to bump it up to a 4 or 5 star. Stephen King is so good at character building, so that surprised me, but that's okay. You can't everything can't be a hit, right? The next 3-star was Mickey 7, and this was just another case of I couldn't really get too invested into the story. It's about these expendable humans. One is called Mickey 7 that we're following in the book. They're sending Mickey 7s to help colonize and get ready a planet for humans to travel to. Mickey 7s are expendable humans. There's a new reiteration made of them every time one of them dies. They are brought back with their memories. So it was fine. I haven't seen the movie, and now that I've read the book, I would like to see the movie because I really like Robert Pattinson. I think he's a cool actor, so I would just like to see how the movie is different than the book and see if the movie is better. Okay, this is another surprising 3-star. This is Passage to Tokyo. This starts out in 1995 when our main character Yui, she has a neglectful alcoholic mother, and so she's kind of left to raise her younger brother Hiro. One day they go to a park in Tokyo and they get separated, and Hiro goes missing, and Yui has to go find him. And while she goes finding him, she gets transported back to, I think it was like 1920s Tokyo. And this was a time when a big earthquake was happening in Japan, and it destroyed a lot of infrastructure and killed a lot of people. So there's a lot of history happening in here, and I have the same complaints about this one that I had about the first one, is that these books need to be longer. They have such a cool setup, the characters are interesting. I just feel like they need more fleshing out. I don't think the author had enough room to work with to really make this story live up to its fullest potential. I love time travel, time slip stories. I think they're so cool, and when they're done well, they're so fun to read for me. I love them, but I honestly feel like this could have benefited from being a 400-500 page book. Honestly, they're so interesting. I love Japanese history. I love reading about it, and I feel like the author seems like she knows quite a bit about it, but it's just they're not long enough to really get connected to anything, you know? So yeah, 3-star, unfortunately. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to 4 stars, and the next 2 books we're going to be talking about are from one of my favorite authors, which is T. Kingfisher. I love that woman. She is a machine with her writing. She's constantly coming out with new books, and I love these 2 a lot. I might be a little biased with them, but I don't care. She's never missed for me. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Snake Eater. This is a story about a girl named Selena, and she moves to a town after her aunt has passed away, and she was left her house, I think. Yeah, her house, and her dog Cooper. And Selena's just trying to fit in, trying to get her bearings. The townspeople are so nice in this. There's really a really nice dynamic of found family. I just loved it so much. I thought it was really interesting. And when Selena starts living in the house, she finds out that there's something mysterious going on. There are desert gods, and there's one that's going off the rails a little bit, being a little sneaky, doing things that aren't really that nice, and wants a bit more from Selena than she can bite off. This is more of kind of like a 3.5 to 4-star, because I wish we would have got more from the desert gods. I thought those were so cool. I love the setting in this book. I love the found family, but I would recommend it in certain circumstances, especially if you like T. Kingfisher. You are going to like this because it has everything good that she does in her stories. And next we have a little novella called 9 Goblins by T. Kingfisher. This is so cute. I love this so much. The goblins in this, chef's kiss, so perfect. They're funny. This is about humans have invaded the goblins' land, and we are following this band of 9 goblins who get stuck behind enemy lines, and the goblins aren't what the other races think that they are. They have community, they love one another, and the other races think that all they do is kill, that they're bad, but they're not really. They're just misunderstood. So they get stuck behind enemy lines, and it's up to the main character to help get them out, and along the way you meet an evil wizard, an elf, and some monsters. It was such a fun read. It was funny. It was lighthearted, but there were stakes in it. I wouldn't call it cozy. It was a really fun read. I thought it had a really heartfelt message in it. The next book was Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I think Octavia E. Butler, I learn so much whenever I read her books, and it's no less the same sentiment for this one. It was a brutal, hard read. It has a lot of teaching moments in it that I think are very, very important. This was about a woman on her birthday. She has a time slip, and she goes back into antebellum South. This dealing with slavery. It really doesn't shy away from the cruelties that happened in the South. This is a must read, I think. Then next we have The Elsewhere Express. I feel like I'm in the minority of this one. This book is from the author of Watermoon, and it's the same sentiment for this one. This is a total vibes read. If you love Studio Ghibli and those types of whimsical stories, I think you'll really, really like this, especially if you like Japanese fiction. This is about a girl. She's kind of lost in life. Her brother has passed away. She wanted to be a songwriter, but she's just after her brother passed away, she's just grieving so much. She's just kind of lost her way, and that's when the Elsewhere Express appears. It appears when someone feels lost and is trying to offer comfort and peace to these souls who are lost. And then she has a grand adventure on the train, and there's a little bit of a romance. It's very cute. It's very much a vibes read. A lot of the intermissions in it where you get a little itinerary of what's going to happen on the train and stuff like that. I thought those little breakups in the story were really cute, and I love the chapter names. They like ask a question and then answer the question in the chapter. I love that setup. I read this author for her plots and the whimsical Ghibli vibes, and this one it really lived up to that. And also look at the edges. It's so pretty. I love these books. They're so pretty, and so I'm glad I like them so I can keep them on my shelf. The next book is The Kingdom of Claw. This is the second book in the Road of Bones series. This is a romantasy series that has a lot of Norse mythology in it, and I feel like it's a lot heavier on the fantasy and world building and stuff than it is on the romance. Like, there are some not nice romance things happening in this, but it's so much more than that. The romance is so tied into the fantasy plot. It's like 50% romance and 50% fantasy, and I think that's like the perfect balance for me when I read romantasy. It's so good. The relationships help move the plot forward, and the men in this series, dear God. The first one was, it played on the forbidden romance trope. This one was the new character Saga introduced. That was more of a enemies to lovers. The first one was more of a forbidden lovers type of trope. They don't really push too hard on the trope. It's not super tropey. It's just that's kind of what it's playing on for the plot. In Kingdom of Claw, we're introduced to a character named Saga, and her foster mother has kept her away all of her childhood. Not very nice. And then we find out that they have stolen the throne from Saga, and her foster mother is forcing her to marry her son, and everything just explodes. The only thing that kept this from being a 5-star read is that at the end of the book was a kind of a cop-out from some really cool action scenes that could have happened. I felt like I was robbed. It was still a good ending and lead up for the next book, Dawn of the North, which I have. I want to read that so bad. I think it's going to be a 7-book series. That's insane. I don't know what's going to happen in those 7 books. If the author does it right, this could be one of the best romantasy series out there. It might even beat Throne of Glass for me. Okay, this is our last 4-star before we go into the 5 stars. This one is the second book in the Bobaverse series. The Bobaverse is about this man who gets trapped in an AI unwillingly. Like, he volunteers for a program where his mind gets uploaded, and he unknowingly becomes part of an AI system. And then there are many Bobs, and these Bobs get it up to all kinds of hijinks in the universe. Some of it is silly, some of it is serious. Some of it may or may not destroy planets or entire races or start a war with an alien race. I don't know, you might have to read it to find out. Okay, now we're going to be going into my 5 stars. The first one I'm going to be talking about is Red City by Marie Lu, and this is such a good book. Cool magic system, cool gang politics, which I thought was interesting because I didn't like Jade City, but I like this. Not sure how that happened, but here we are. I don't know. But basically, the magic system in this is alchemy, and it is controlled by these crime syndicates, and it comes in the form of sand. And when people ingest this sand, it takes something from them, but they become a more perfect version of themselves. Like, if they're really beautiful, they get even more beautiful. If they're smart, they get smarter. Almost like a superhuman, super magical version of themselves. It's really cool. The city is controlled by 2 crime syndicates, the Grand City and the Lumines, and then we have Sam, who wants to climb her way up into the Grand City so that way she can have a better life. It's not a good thing because they're doing crime, and her mother is doing everything in her power to keep Sam out of this dark world. And then we have our other main character is Ari, who is an apprentice to one of the Lumines, and he's a pretty big deal. Sam and Ari may or may not have been past lovers, but now they're on these opposite sides in these gang wars, and it's a really interesting dynamic, especially when you also add in the magic system. And honestly, I would have loved even more about Sam's mother. I thought Sam's mother was so interesting. I loved reading about Sam's relationship with her mother and the way her mother really cared about Sam. I wish more stories talked about motherhood. I feel like that's not talked about a lot, especially in romantasy books. So this was a really refreshing read. I really enjoyed it. I think Marie Lu has a fun, engaging writing style. The pacing was really good, and I had a lot of fun with this. The next 5-star we had for February was A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. First of all, let me just start out and gush about Rebecca Ross's writing. This was as good as Wild Reverence the writing was. I just want to bathe in her words. It's so beautiful and lyrical, and the descriptions, oh god, it's so good. I just love her writing so much. So perfect. perfect. This story is about a bard named Jack who is summoned back to his homeland because some girls are going missing, and his bard song can help lure them back and help solve the mystery. At least that's what his old nemesis thinks. And together they team up and try to solve the mystery of why the girls are going missing, and obviously try to get them back as well. And I just love the magic system in this and the Celtic mythology in this. It was so well done. I felt so immersed. I can't wait to read the next one. I can't wait to see what happens in it. So 5-star. Read it. Do it. Read it. Okay, so the next book we have is by the GOAT V.E. Schwab, and this is Vicious. And I love this book so much. I love V.E. Schwab. I feel like she can do no wrong in my book. This is my first time going outside of her more romantic stories. I didn't know what to expect from her writing when it didn't center a romance like Addie LaRue's or Barrier Bones. It felt like I was reading The Boys or something. Those were the vibes I was getting from the characters, especially. It's like a lot of anti-heroes, a lot of morally gray, morally black things happening. Like the characters in this book were horribly awesome. The story starts with Victor and Eli. They're roommates, and they discover that having a near-death experience gives basically like superpowers. And it starts out as just them doing research for a college thesis, and then it turns into really dangerous experimentation that goes awry, and just things start going wrong. It was really engaging. Like I said, the characters were horrible, but it was awesome. There's a third book coming out in this series that I don't think anyone expected, and it's the conclusion to everything. So I'm gonna read Vengeful. I think that's the second book, and then pick up the third book when it comes out later this year. Okay, the next book I have was a really heartbreaking book. It did make me cry. I thought it would make me cry, but it's really rare for a book to make me cry. When I do cry at a book, it's for the dumbest reasons, so or the most random reasons. So this was my first Kristen Hanna book, and I can't wait for the movie to come out. I'm so excited. This is a story set in World War II. It starts with an old woman, and she's going through like a box of memories and telling her son about the times in World War II. And then when we go to World War II, we are introduced to two sisters. One wants to be a war hero, and at the beginning when we meet her, she doesn't quite understand the cruelty of war yet. As time goes on and the war gets worse and worse, these two sisters' lives are torn upside down. When the war touches their hometown, a Nazi moves to their house, and they have to tiptoe around that and stay safe. And it deals with love, loss, pain, grief. This was really heartbreaking. The realities of war, how the actions of a few old men can affect so many and destroy so many lives. This was another side to the war that I don't really hear about a lot on TV and in books and documentaries. It was really refreshing to read about World War II from two female perspectives. I've never really read much from the female perspectives, especially the ones that were stuck at home and not on the front lines. Well, at least one of them. There were some parts that were really hard to get through. And the last 5-star that we are going to end off this video on is There Be Dragons Here. I read this after Nightingale because I needed something cozy. So I think that might be one reason why I rated it so high, but I also just really love the Tales of Adria cozy fantasy books, the whole series. This is the fourth one, the newest one. This is about a dwarf who is tasked by her friend who has just passed away to go spread his ashes on these mountains that are inhabited by dragons. And so Hilda is an old lady at this point. She used to be a great, fantastic adventurer, and she's hung up her adventuring shoes for a life at home with her loving family and husband, but she feels the call to adventure one more time to basically fulfill her friend's last wish. And this is a heartwarming. I love Hilda because she is old, so she's had a lot of life experience. I just love the stories that she tells and the history that's in her noggin. And there's dragons. The dragons in this are so cool. But I want more history about the dragons in Adria. Gosh, I hope the next book kind of deals with more dragon stuff. I thought that was so cool, because I think the first time we heard about dragons in this series was in the second book, Sword and Thistle. We heard about the dwarf kingdom city that was raised by a dragon, and then we got more of the dwarf history in this, which I thought was really awesome. My favorite fantasy races are elves and dwarves, and then when you add dragons in a cozy fantasy, it is just perfection. Love this series. Good palate cleansers, but also heartwarming. I love these so much. I think this one and the second one are my favorites out of this series. You should pick it up. Just pick it up. It's by an indie author too, so this author deserves so much more recognition and support. So please pick it up if you want a cozy fantasy series. But yeah, those were my reads for February. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to organize it a bit better than I usually do for my wrap-up, so I hope you enjoyed this. And don't forget to think of a punishment. Either put it down in the comments or join the Discord so you guys can come up with a punishment for me since I didn't finish the list. Please go easy on me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, bye-bye.